What is up, guys? Sonduren Canadian Rider here. We have the Audi R8 and I want to show you today how to properly winterize your car for winter storage. One of the first things we're going to be doing is actually pumping up the tires to making sure they're at spec. So with the season changing, sometimes the winter tire pressure or your tire pressure in the winter is going to be changing, or there's going to be some fluctuation. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I'm at about 35 PSI for these tires before winter storage. This is important too when we're actually storing the car. If you're parking it flat, it's going to help a little bit with the dry or the flat spotting on your tires. We're going to talk about how you can kind of mitigate that a little bit when you actually put it in storage. But right now I'm going to be going ahead and checking out the tire pressure on all 4 tires. And flat spotting is a really big problem on a lot of these tires, especially if you're storing over the winter for a long time. So you want to make sure you get the right PSI as another augmentative measure to ensure you don't flat spot your tires. These tires cost me $1,800, the Michelin Pilot 4S. The other thing that we're going to need to do is fill up the car completely with gas. I'm at Shell specifically because I'm going to be using their V-Power 91 octane. This is a 91 octane car anyway, but the point is this has no ethanol. So ethanol sometimes can be responsible for gas tank expansion over winter storage. I had that issue with my Ducati where I needed to make sure I used ethanol-free gasoline. So I'm putting that in now. I'm going to fill up the gas tank. The other thing that we need to make sure we do is put in stabilizer. So this is stable fuel stabilizer. If you're storing your car for 6 to 8 months longer, you're going to want to make sure you put this in because your fuel is going to degrade over time due to moisture and oxygen in the fuel tank. So 2 things that we're doing right now that's important is before we actually wash the car and do all this other stuff that we need to do to actually store it, we're going out here, we're filling up the gas tank with gasoline to make sure there's no corrosion that could ever happen if the gas tank's full. The other thing is we want to put this into the engine, into the gas, and we're going to drive it back home. That way this is actually going to go through the entire fuel system. You don't want to just put this in with the gas tank full in your garage. It's not going to mix in. So this is a great way. We're going to fill up the gas tank. We're going to put some of the stable inside of the gas tank to make sure that everything's fine. So in this case here, I'm going to put about 40, 50 milliliters of stable inside of the gas tank right now. So we got the car in the garage now, we added the fuel stabilizer. Next thing we're gonna do is do a full wash on it. So if you don't know how to properly wash your car, I do have a video I can link above here in the card so you can see how to properly do it. You wanna make sure in this case here, the car is pristine. You've washed it, you've clay barred it, you've even maybe polished it or protected it, but in the minimum, you need to make sure you wash the car fully, remove all the embedded contaminants on the car, make sure it's nice and squeaky clean. So we're gonna do that right now. So then after you're actually done washing the car, add a layer of protection if necessary. So I've done lots of videos on protection. This Audi R8 right now has a ceramic coating on it, the Optimum gloss coat on it, which has been lasting for about 2 years now. So I don't actually need to add any topper or do anything, but if you don't have a wax, sealant, or ceramic coating, this is a good time to apply it right now, especially if you have done the full polish required for that. If you haven't, you want something to protect it in the meantime, a wax or sealant is just fine if you're not gonna go ahead and polish it before the winter. Just washing the car again. It's freezing outside, so I got hot water, which just makes this much more enjoyable. And actually it'll help clean the car a little bit better. But again, I'm deploying the 2-bucket method. So I have a wash bucket and a rinse bucket. The wash bucket has the soap solution, and then I have the rinse bucket to like clean off the mitt here. I'll just do right now. But this is gonna make sure, again, all the contaminants are off. They're not gonna bond during storage. And that in general, like the car is nice and clean before you actually put it away. The R8 is now washed. It's completely washed, decontaminated, we're all good. What we're gonna do now is actually set up the trickle charger. So one of the biggest things when you're storing your car, you have 2 options. You can either take out the battery completely, put it inside, or you can set up a trickle charger. I find the trickle charger is much easier to go ahead and do. So in this case here in my R8, I'm going to pop open the hood, and there's actually an area, so for my car specifically, the battery's actually right in here. So I'm gonna open this up, and the battery terminals are right here. So here's the positive and the negative terminal. I have one of these trickle chargers here. This is a MotoMaster Eliminator trickle charger. You can get, there's so many different brands. I'll link this in the description box below. You can get this, I picked it up at Canadian Tire, Amazon.ca. You can also pick up Battery Tender. All this does is links up to your positive and negative terminals on your battery, and this will trickle charge your car. Essentially what it's gonna do is it's not gonna charge or overcharge your battery. What it's gonna do is keep the battery maintained. They're basically battery maintainers so that it's not gonna die over the winter. I've just simply unplugged it from the main unit so I can do this in whatever which way I want. So in this case here, it's unplugged from the unit. I plugged in the positive, I plugged in the negative, Now I'm plugging in the main terminal here. And that's it. So this is going to keep the car maintained over the winter, so you don't have to worry about the battery. I'm not gonna close it all the way because of the wire. That's how it's gonna stay over the winter, and we're gonna be good. So now we have the trickle charger situation plugged in. That's good. What's the final thing? We talked about increasing the tire pressure on your car when it's in winter storage. So I actually bumped it up to the normal tire pressure. On my case, it was a little bit low because of the season change. What you can do now is either, because you wanna avoid flat spotting on your tires, you can either put a carpet underneath, you can do something. Now, this isn't gonna completely eliminate the possibility of a flat tire. The only way to do that is actually to jack up the car and take off the tires from the actual concrete or pavement that you have in your driveway. That's a little bit too difficult. Most people are not gonna do that. So what I would suggest is a combination of different things to tackle the flat tire problem. So tires are pumped up in PSI. What I'm using is actually some old patio set comforters. So I'm using these are really old, so I'm just using them. I'm gonna put them behind the tires and reverse up, and this is gonna go underneath my tires. You can just use carpet. There's a bunch of different solutions. This is my cheap little available solution I have to me, so that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna place these, and they fit perfectly under my R8. I'm gonna place each one behind the tires, and I'm gonna reverse out. How's that?
Perfect.
Let's see how that actually turned out. Okay, so that literally worked out perfectly. So tires off the concrete, which is the important thing that we want to do, and that's going to stop the flat spotting. Finally, the last thing, actually, before you do this, put down your e-brake. So I've gone ahead and put down the e-brake. That makes sure that over the winter it doesn't stick. And then put the car in first gear if you have a manual. This car is a 6-speed manual. I put it in first gear, so that's fine. But now, if we look at everything here, car's washed, it's perfect. Tires are now protected from the ground, so you're gonna avoid flat spotting. And the battery tender is charging the car as we speak. So all these things are done with the car. This was how you properly winterize your car. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment box down below. Make sure to like the video. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We're at 20,000 subscribers, which is crazy. So again, I want to say thank you guys so much for that. I really do appreciate it. But now this car is going to be in perfect shape, in great condition for when the spring comes and we take it back out on the road.